All right, welcome back to another episode of Panther Airsoft Folding Table Talk. This is episode 71.
Se-
Winter
What?
is here.
71 or 70?
71? No, 70? 70? No,
70,
71. 71. Yeah.
71.
Yeah. You're
I
fooling
said
Sure.
me.
that. I said that with confidence.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 71. We're retirement age now. All right.
We have done this 71 times.
All right, winter is here, guys.
It's here. It's here.
Yeah, so
Happy
after
New Year.
after 3 weeks of being gone,
Merry Chrysler.
Merry Chrysler, Merry New Year, and happy
Ha-
Boxing
happy,
Week.
happy Christmas.
Yep. So hopefully everybody's got a nice break. It's been a nice 3 weeks for us being off and not having to worry about Thursday rolling around because I start worrying about it on a Tuesday or Monday, and then these guys are like, "No, can we talk about it on Wednesday?" And then all of these guys are like, "Oh, but I gotta write it down and all this," and then
Did he just shoot us in the foot right there, Ty?
a little bit.
A little bit, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, boy, I'm sorry, okay? I work, and then I'm tired, and then I die, and then I am reborn.
That's
The
okay.
next-
You had 3 weeks to worry about that.
It was nice,
Yeah.
thank you. I've been busy. It's not like I've been sitting down doing
No,
nothing.
I've been working too, and
Yeah.
with all this Omicron variant stuff,
All the chutzpah, the chutzpah.
we're back at remote again. So
Yeah.
hey, at least we got this still. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, it is different though. It is different. I mean, I don't know if people can tell.
All right, so I guess we'll promote the black membership here a bit. But if you're still looking for that perfect gift for someone, yeah, go buy the Panther Airsoft Black membership. It's a good time to buy it so that they're ready for the spring,
The whole
and
year.
summer and fall, and then winter again. So
Mhm.
there you go. Yeah, we're sponsoring them, I guess, because we work for them.
We're sponsoring them
them.
or they're sponsoring us.
Don't
We'd
let
like to thank our
Elliot-
sponsor,
Yeah,
Panther
I
Airsoft.
was like, don't let Elliot hear you say that,
Oops, it
man.
was the other way around, guys. Sorry. All right, so winter is here. It's getting cold out there. Some people like it. I mean, I like it.
Snow soft is the best soft.
I like snow soft, but
100%.
I just haven't been out at the field for a while, so
Huh.
I really have no excuse. If I like
Huh.
it, why am I not there?
Exactly. If you didn't like snow soft, it's because you didn't like snow in the first place. That's right. Big ups, calling you out.
I have family commitments. I'm sorry. All
I was
right.
like, where's this coming from? This
I-
unrepressed anger right now. man.
I have photo evidence of you playing in the snow, boy.
I do have
I
photo
do.
evidence. Of
I
that.
do. I got
have
lots.
videos actually.
I got lots. I got lots.
Yeah.
But that was the younger me.
Oh, the
Younger
younger.
you. It was
Okay.
like last
All right.
year.
All right. Yeah, the younger you.
But
okay.
we have
365 days
some
ago.
good advice to give to people. All right.
100%.
All
Yeah.
right. So yeah, it's been so much for the last couple of weeks. In this segment we're gonna be talking about gear, boots, socks, pants, jackets, you name it. Mac will be going over some of the list of stuff. I'm sure you're gonna include some Arc'teryx in there because
Well, I'm just not naming
it's
any
expensive.
brands.
but Arc'teryx.
Because it's expensive.
Yeah. There's other brands too.
There are
Um,
other brands.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be going over some of your airsoft guns, things to look out for, what conditions at this time. Black BB's probably the best time to use it now because it's snowing. So
No.
Tack will be going over some winter tech guide stuff. Yeah, let's finish off those gun projects that you guys have been doing. So we'll be going over that. We're gonna be going over some coldness preparedness. Being prepared for the cold. Bringing extra clothes after you're done playing.
Mhm.
And as well as cleaning up your gear, sell them, donate them, wash them. You know, making room for more gear. I'm sure you guys got more gear over the winter time because you got some extra slush funds or people just gave you stuff or gifted you stuff.
Stop
Um,
looking at me.
What did I don't know. Well, remember, we also have a buy and sell here, so yeah, post it up if you don't need them anymore. And lastly, we'll be talking about activities for winter time that complements your airsoft skills. So we're going to be going over some of the safe winter activities for airsoft and stuff that you could do at home. I said at home, not outside. At home. Okay, so let's move on. Mac, your segment. Let's go. What do you
Oh.
got for us?
All right, guys. Winter is here. I know we kind of dived into the last year and stuff like that. We're back for another round of it's wet, it's cold, and it's gross outside. That being said, one of the things I wanted to bring up, guys, is that obviously winter brings a whole host of goodies that some may and may not be used to. The guys, the vets out there, the people who have played before, kind of know what to expect. The people that don't and are kind of unsure of what to expect, hopefully we'll be able to kind of give you some shed some knowledge on that as well. So the cold, the wet, and sometimes the painful games of airsoft when it comes to playing in the winter. There are some particular things that you need to take into consideration, but this list that I've kind of compiled and everything, small but sweet. It's not in any particular order, but keep that in mind. These are things that I contemplate when I'm playing airsoft in the winter and everything. So the first thing that I kind of want to stress, and something that we always stress, is footwear. So your feet are basically the driving force behind your everyday mechanism of just being able to move your body around. So taking proper care of your feet is essential to being able to move properly and safely, no matter the weather or the environment and stuff. So that obviously taking place. One of the easiest things to say when it comes to footwear with airsoft, and especially at Panther Airsoft, because of us being just a real outdoor full forest kind of facility and everything, is boots. So that being said, you don't have to get too specific when what kind of boots. Anything that'll keep your feet dry and elevated. So I recommend high ankle support. Poi, you can vouch for that on me.
Agreed.
There's a lot of tree roots and branches and kind of things out there in the mud that people kind of don't realize, and those are ankle breakers, guys. It's super easy to just kind of twist your ankle while you're running.
Especially in the snow.
Yeah, where you don't know things
slippery.
are.
It gets
Yes.
slippery with those roots.
Ooh, well, so that being said, one of the piece of advice that I can definitely give players when it comes to playing in the winter and in the snow is slow down. A lot of people get stuck up on thinking that they need to still run as hard as they possibly can, like in the summer and everything. And guys, you can do it. I'm not gonna say that you can't and everything, but really you got to slow it down for safety wise, for yourself and or for others, because the last thing you want to do is come full force collide with somebody around the corner because you're both sprinting at full tilt and there's not a chance you guys are going to stop. You guys are going to go right into each other, and that's going to lead to broken guns, broken noses, broken hearts, a lot of things. Okay, guys, so slowing it down when it comes to winter play, and then emphasis on the footwear to make sure that you're taking care of your feet. You want to make sure you have your feet dry, and you want to make sure you're keeping your feet supported, obviously. So making sure you've got some rough treads and everything like that, some waterproof shoes. Those are all things to take into account. You don't have to buy combat boots or anything unless you're trying to go for some kind of impression or sorts. Hiking shoes, hiking boots, Solomon's, and Columbia makes some good ones and stuff like that, like all Wind River.
I can
there's
tell
tons.
You right now, it's probably cheaper to buy commercial grade like hiking boots than
100%,
military
exactly.
boots, like designed for the military.
Yeah. Right, because those are going for a certain look, and then those are going for a certain purpose. So those are to each their own and everything like that. So building up from our feet, guys, is cold weather gear. So when I say cold weather gear, I mean the tops and bottoms. So taking care of your layer, or taking care to layer up properly with the right materials, can separate you from sitting there shivering during a game to being to barely noticing that it's cold. I find that starting out from a solid base layer, you can find yourself in a quite comfortable position in the harsh outdoors, and you don't even really notice it. So I highly recommend starting out with like a dry fit under layer. So that ranges from all sorts of companies and brands out there, from Under Armour, Thermal Wear. I know a couple of those brands themselves make things out of like merino wool or some kind of like cotton and nylon thing. So make sure you're kind of doing what works for you in your situation and stuff.
My best
go ahead.
advice for cold weather gear, especially for airsoft, is if you go skiing or snowboarding, some of those base layers that you use for that sport actually can be applied to airsoft, especially because you're doing extraneous activities, especially hiking
100%.
in the snow or snowboarding or skiing
and you want
whatever.
A lot of moisture wicking,
wicking,
right? So that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand too, is if you're wearing like a regular cotton t-shirt, whether it gets soaked from your sweat or whether it gets soaked from your play outdoors and in the elements, that's not going to dissipate either the cold or the moisture away from your body. It's just gonna stick. It's soaked, it's cold. It's going to be one of those things that can cause hypothermia. It can be hypothermic. I don't want to get to that extreme, but I'm just saying,
if it sticks to you,
It's
and
gonna
you're
zap you of your energy, right?
it's
So
basically gonna
those are
zap
the
you. Yeah.
yeah. So those are one of the things that I really want people to kind of understand is building up from that base. So for me right now, I work outdoors all day, 8 to 10 hours and everything like that. And when I'm standing out there, the main thing that I always try and make sure I understand is that if I take care of my feet, and then I go up for my legs and my chest and everything like that. If I'm able to keep my core nice and comfortable, then no matter how bad the elements are outside, as horrible as they are, I can deal with it. But the second I start to lose those battles, like, oh, my feet are wet, I'm done. I'm like the biggest little diva, and I'm sorry about it, but it is what it
You're
is.
wet, fingers are cold. I'm done with this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's when you go to the barn, hang out.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll have like the barrel fire going. So
Right.
hang out
Exactly.
there. We don't mind
Yeah.
if you guys hang out.
Warm up.
Yeah.
That's one of the things you want to make sure
Yeah.
you take care of
Yeah.
your extremities and your core. So building that base is what's important. So
Tone-
moving
To-
on from
Tony mentioned insulated
oh,
thermals by Columbia. Those are really good.
100%,
Highly agree.
100%, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Whatever
so
works
from
for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever works for your brand, your budget, whatever. Like myself, I've got a bunch of Under Armour undershirts and stuff like that for my workout and just work. And I also have like Nike Dry Fit Under Armour stuff. You know, yeah, to each their own and everything. I've got long johns. That's one thing too. A lot of people understand too is the tops and the bottoms, they do go together. Some people are, heated differently and they don't need that stuff. That's fine. If that's you, that's awesome. If it makes it too uncomfortable, like tack, I know you're one of those hot guys, right? Like you can rock the top, but the bottoms, it pushes you over to the uncomfortable portion, right? So making
Yeah,
sure you find that
exactly.
balance, that's what's important. Like,
Yeah, it's hit or miss. Yeah, you got to be careful with it. But like something to always remember, you can always take stuff off, right? But you can't always put stuff on in certain situations. So it's always good to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, especially when it comes to the cold.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so moving on to the next portion of that, right? Pairing with your cold weather gear is wet weather gear. So just because you have layered up against the cold and really like stabbing humid climate that is the west coast, you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself from the moisture. So basically we have lots of precipitation. I know everyone knows, I hope we have lots of participation, but everyone knows that it rains a lot. So you want to make sure you set yourself up to protect yourself from that, right? So whether that's like a solid rain jacket, so here, sorry, my little write up here is after taking care of your core temperature in this humid climate, having a piece of gear that separates you from the wet outdoors can be essential to being able to have a good time. No one likes sitting there soaked cold all day. So a solid layer rain jacket and or pants is not for everyone, but sometimes it works better than nothing. And another thing that I had added there as well is a poncho. Some people don't realize a poncho can also work as well. I'm actually a particular guy that likes rocking a poncho rather than like a rain jacket or something. I can throw the entire poncho over all of my equipment and keep me safe. Whereas a rain jacket, most of the time you're still wearing your equipment outside of your gear and everything. So, to each their own play style and everything like that. But regardless, having a layer to separate you from a water can be highly beneficial in protecting your equipment and aid into having a better and positive attitude, because I know a lot of the times a lot of people get heated and frustrated super fast out there. There are underlying issues to why that is. It's like, man, this guy's not calling his hits. It's actually you're sitting there pretty cold and frustrated and you don't want to move and you're complaining. But again, to each their own. So moving on from there, and that kind of ties into what I'm also going to talk about, is food and nutrition. So sometimes people are hangry and they don't really realize it. You're out there and you're playing, you're working hard, and you don't realize that your body is working through all of these calories, and you get hungry, and all of a sudden it's super easy to get frustrated, and you're noticing these things, or you're not noticing these things because you haven't been able to kind of like sit back and realize that, oh, I haven't fueled myself properly, or you're feeling sluggish and you're feeling like your gameplay is shit just because you're not able to kind of carry yourself through these situations. So running around in snow and mud and mucky situations, it can be pretty draining on the body. So you want to make sure that you fuel you give gas to the gas tank, right? Everything starts with you and what you put into your body. A lot of people overlook breakfast. It's one of the most common reasons to start a bad day. People don't realize that, but it's actually like, like, oh wow, this person's in my way or blah blah blah. It's like, actually, you're just really irritable right now. And you need to
You
calm
got
down.
enough time in the morning to go to the field, get your McDonald's breakfast.
Well, just
Yeah.
whatever it is, regardless, I highly don't recommend the McDonald's breakfast and stuff. Coffee's okay, but you know what? Like, if you just have eggs and some bacon, eggs and some toast, even a bowl of cereal, something to tide you over and stuff. But
Gotcha. A&W breakfast. Let's
yeah,
go.
you know what? Okay, that's what I'm not getting into specifics here, but a lot of people overlook breakfast, and that's
I'm
one of
just
the
saying,
reasons
save
you start
time,
a bad
airsoft
day.
more, you know?
So try your best to eat 3 meals a day. And in the winter, especially because it is essential to get all the calories to keep your body fueled through the winter season and stuff. The cold and harsh climates can demand a lot from your body, so make sure you take care of it. Highly recommend foods with lots of carbs and healthy fats. That's going to make sure that you give stored energy to be able to utilize throughout the day or whenever you're doing some kind of strenuous physical activity. And then again, guys, you want to hit up those you want to get all your essential proteins and balance them out with your veggies. So, I'm not trying to be anyone's nutritionist and stuff, but I notice it when I take care of what I eat. So, trying to extend that out to you guys as well. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have done the garbage diet. That was my first 17, 18, 25 years of my life, but things have changed, guys. So, if you guys want to be able to, perform in just your everyday today lives, you want to make sure you take care of what you put in your
They're
body.
young. They'll learn. Don't worry.
Yeah, some people are young.
So
Some people
this also puts a good perspective into a airsoft nutrition segment. So I don't know if we should have one, but comment down below, guys, if that's something that you're interested in. That'll be hilarious. Where we compare MREs to
like, what do
actual real
airsofters
moon.
eat?
Yeah,
Garbage.
they
You eat garbage.
and you operate, and then that's why you operate like garbage. At that
It's
point.
why you operate like garbage.
Anyways,
Garbage.
I can't speak. I can speak for myself because I eat garbage right now. So I just haven't had time to like with the busy family schedule stuff. Anyways, thank you for that, Mac. Yeah, I do want to emphasize on the cold and wet weather gear. They are separate categories. Yes. We have a unique sort of environment here where if you think about like Alberta or like Ontario or like any of the central provinces, they have a different weather system than we do. They get dry cold, we get wet cold here. So a lot of the times, like for us, we would layer up with like fleece and base layer underneath so that we don't get cold, and then outside is our wet layer gear. Like that's why Arc'teryx is pretty well known here because of the fact that they can do both. They have certain brands that can do both. They have fleece lining inside and then with the Gore-Tex on the outside. So again, like you're right, it's really up to the person and how much heat they generate. Because for me, I generate a lot of heat in wintertime too, so I would be okay with like sometimes with just like a base layer, a thermal, and then a sweater outside, or like a thin Arc'teryx rain gear on. Yeah, it's really all up to you and how you want to wear it, but you got to make sure you just don't get too cold that you get what is it, hypothermia? Hypo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you get hypothermic.
Yeah,
Hypothermia is
hypothermic.
like actually the point where you're
Yeah.
like gonna die. So let's not do that.
Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, thank you for that food and nutrition stuff because
Well, it's just
yeah,
something to keep in mind.
yeah,
It's something that I honestly like thought of that we left out last year. That I was looking back at our previous episode from last year,
yeah.
and I was all like, "Wow, okay, we talked a lot about the gear and the footwear." And again, I cannot emphasize the footwear enough. People like, seriously, how much do I spend on my gun, bruh? Go buy some good boots, okay?
Yeah.
Like, trust me, you're gonna win more than half of these kids with their guns because they can't even freaking play.
I mean, okay, like we've seen some people play in sneakers in wintertime. I think that should stop because that is just dangerous level of
I just feel
stupidity.
bad for them at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
it's their body, not mine, but still,
Yeah.
like, please, like, wear proper footwear because as someone who breaks their ankle a lot, yeah, I get it. But also, who's someone who's camped out a lot in wintertime as well, proper footwear is a big thing. I've had one time where I had a hole in my footwear, and that just ruined the entire trip. Like, I had to go home early and stuff. Yeah, and yeah, don't forget socks, wool socks, wool,
Ooh, that's what
merino.
exactly.
Yeah, merino
Thermal
wool.
sock, anything that's just some kind of like thermal insulating sock,
Yeah,
there's
it's
tons of brands out there, there's tons of materials out there. Make sure you guys do the research or ask the questions. Like, man, like Tony just put in exactly right. Columbia's got some really good stuff. Helly Hansen has some really good
yeah.
workwear stuff. If you guys don't know, Carhartt's got a bunch of good stuff out there. Dakota, tons
Um,
of stuff out there to make sure you are able to perform and be comfortable in the elements.
Yeah, if you visit a sports check or an atmosphere that's locally here, you're going to see a lot of good footwear and as well as a lot of good cold and wet weather gear. Highly recommend you go there just to get some advice or see what's out there, and then you can go out and actively find other things that are like off brand and stuff like that. Um, my best recommendation, especially when you're going through this year, is buy it off season because it gets pretty expensive when you're buying it on season. Buying it off season or last year's brand still pretty good. You could go out to like places like Winners and buy some off season stuff. They're still pretty good, like the jackets and stuff. They're not gonna be in the right color that you want. Like like gray is probably the best bet for winter gear, especially in a white environment like right now.
Mhm.
But things like thermal gear and underwear or anything like that, no one's gonna look what you're wearing underneath. So it could be any color you want. It could be red, whatever. But yeah, if you want to layer, if you want to camouflage your layers, then yeah, you could just wear something like a poncho, right? You could wear a white poncho. I know they sell one at what is it, Poco Military, and that'll camouflage all your gear right away if you're just wearing that poncho. If you want to go specific, you could start taping your guns with white tape or something like that, just to hide the profile of a black gun or airsoft gun. Or you could just start taping up all kinds of gear like your chest rigs and stuff in white. Yeah, I've done to a point where I was wearing what did I give you there, Tack? What do you call that? The white suit that you were wearing for that event.
Oh, the Tyvek suit.
The Tyvek suit. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
That's
actually
actually really
that
good.
that
It
actually
was
works pretty well
hilariously
as a
funny.
camouflage.
Yeah.
You're gonna use it like one or two times, right? And it's gonna rip. Okay, whatever. But it's cheap. It was like what? Like I got it for $15 or $10.
Well, what's cool about it, what people don't realize, is not just because it's all white, right? Like, cause like it's the same thing as like in at night in a situation where say someone's wearing like all black or all one color or
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's like it's ruffled or whatever it is, so it actually like makes the light kind of like refract a little bit off of
Yeah,
it and stuff
yeah,
like that. So
so-
it does make it really, really hard. And when you're in the snow, it actually makes you look like snow.
Oh,
which is
yeah, especially when
dumb.
your like your backfill or your background is all white,
Yeah.
or like it's just if you're just crouched down, laying down. Yeah, you're not gonna see him out in the distance. It works really well. A white plastic, white garbage
White garbage bag.
Actually, that
Tony-
works well.
Tony's always innovative. I always
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
exactly
no.
Tony.
Oh
being
yeah,
like,
it's
what's
waterproof
frugal, man.
too. Yeah, no,
Yeah, there
hey,
you go.
whatever works, right? If you could fool the enemy, that means that it works, right? I mean, whatever works, right? Like,
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
yeah. I mean, we should jump into a winter camo section here. We didn't really add it, but yeah, there is a lot of like winter camouflage stuff that you can get, but the problem is they're very hard to get, and especially with our environment where we don't get a lot of snow, it's just like one of those things where you're just gonna use it once a year,
Mhm.
right? Or not even once a year, probably once every 2 years or 3 years or something when we get a big snow here. But
Mm.
yeah, they're very expensive. They're hard to find. If you do have a set, cool. Like that's awesome. I know Dayton has a set of like the pants and as well as the like the poncho that he wears, and that's
Oh, yeah, he
that's a
does.
beautiful set. But the problem was, it's like it costs like 200 or 300 something like that, just alone. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty expensive just
for
for
specific, yeah.
yeah. If that's what you're looking for, then go for it. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from, or nothing stopping us like from getting it, right? Because
Mhm.
like if money's not an issue, go for it. Yeah, you get the coolness factor to it. But
Mhm.
yeah, you just gotta train with it, right? So that's why you gotta come out and play airsoft in the winter time so you can experience it. Because
Yeah, try it once.
yeah, try it once. If you don't like it, cool. Then stay at home. We got some fun activities for later on in this podcast that you could do at home as well. But yeah, winter camo. If you know what you're looking for, go for it. Really nothing like if you like the Russian stuff, like the Russian camos that they have for winter, go for it as well. I mean, they're pretty good. They're pretty cheap. if you're trying to get like NATO equipment that's like winter stuff, usually they just put on like the same thing, like like that Tyvek is almost it's almost the same thing that they do. They just cover up all their all their current camos with just a white on it, and then that's it. And then yeah, if you want to cover up your bag too with the white cover, they sell those as well on Amazon where you could just cover the bag in a white cover. That's good as well. Um, yeah, so that is it for gear. I don't have anything. Oh, actually, the one thing I want to add, this came up on like a Discord chat about footwear and stuff. On top of your footwear, if you only have like not like if you're getting into a point where it's muddy slash snowy at the same time, gaiters. Do you guys know what gaiters are?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so you wrap that around your boot ankle, and then it goes all the way up to almost your knee, just below your knee. And that basically protects you from having stuff like snow fall into the top of your shoe, right? Or the top of your boots, basically. So if you're getting knee deep snow, which right now in Panther is actually it's pretty deep actually. When I was there last week, yeah, the snow was pretty deep. It was gonna get into my if I just started walking some more in the woods, it
Mhm.
was gonna get into my because I was wearing sneakers. I was dumb. I wasn't playing though. But yeah, it was gonna get into my sneakers if I wasn't careful or wasn't taking the plowed path, right? If I go into the deep end, yeah, if like the snow was like below my knee, which was pretty deep. And gaiters is the best way of preventing that, and as well as it keeps your like lower calf all the way up to your feet like dry as well. They're pretty cheap. They're like no, like the cheapest one you guys like $20 for a pair, and it protects you from like for just that reason alone. It's also good if you're just like hiking around a mountain and stuff. So it's a good thing to have overall. Get the Gore-Tex ones. You don't have to get the Gore-Tex one. You could get the poly or whatever plastic that they have,
Mhm.
like the tent fabric one. I forgot what they're called. But yeah, no Gore-Tex. Put it on, and then yeah, you're gonna have a dry time with your feet. So that's another one I wanted to add. All right, shall we move on to the tech portion of this segment then for winter maintenance? I guess. No, nothing to add, Mac. No, all right.
No, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, sorry. I mean, you covered it pretty well there, and I mean, like, yeah, sorry. I don't know what else to draw into the winter. I mean, it's like if they are not listening to what we've said already, like they're screwed.
All right. Well, Tack, let's move on to your segment here. What would a technician do at this point in winter
Okay,
time?
well, so the basic thing with winter maintenance is like if you're the type of player who's not going to be playing in the winter time, right? Like Boy was saying previously, there's a ton of things that you can catch up on. Like for a lot of you guys who are tech savvy and whatnot, you can take your whole thing apart. You can go ahead and clean it and stuff like that. If you're not going to be using it, it's a good time to either leave the spring out or, decompress the spring, right? So that you can prolong the longevity of your platform and whatnot. Um,
What do you mean by decompress the spring? As in like taking it out of a gearbox and doing it? Or
you can choose to do that, or you can just make it so that the piston isn't retracted all the way. So usually when you put it in after, when you open the gearbox, it's going to be technically decompressed anyway, because it's going to be in the furthest forward motion when you put it in. So there's that.
as in like cycle it forward, meaning fire it once and then that's it,
No,
right?
no, you don't have to do that. You can just leave it as is. You can if you want to, right? But usually when you fire it, it'll kind of leave it half cocked and stuff like that. And then so when people leave it stored up like that for a long time and then come back after, they might be like an FPS deviation.
So are there ways of decocking it without like having to put a battery in or anything like that, like releasing the spring? Is there like methods of doing it, or is it different per gun?
Most guns are pretty simple. You just take the motor out and then go to the anti-reversal latch and then pop that if you know where it is. If not, and you're not tech savvy, no.
Okay. So there's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
okay. So you would
yeah,
have to be tech savvy to do it. I'm guessing this is a
yeah.
good time to learn how to tech.
It would be like if you put more money into your gun, right? Obviously, and this is for people who buy guns off the bat or whatever it is, right? You can get fancy MOSFETs that'll decock it and stuff like that. And there's some platforms that will do that, which I find is really, really cool and actually a really neat idea because again, you prolong the longevity of the whole thing. So good on, companies that do that. Although I bet you it's a pain in the ass to deal with the gun when it does break.
Because that's an extra mechanism or like moving part to deal with. Okay, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, airsoft. Gotcha.
Airsoft. Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
so that's one thing in winter maintenance you can do is just maintain your gun, doing it that way, keeping it safe, decocking it, decompressing the spring. Any
Mhm.
other springs that we got to decompress or anything like that? I know for gas blowback, I guess I'll jump in with the gas blowback tip here is yeah, don't leave your like gun all the way open, like racked
Mhm.
up all the way open, and then you leave the bolt carrier all the way back. Don't do that because that compresses your spring. To decompress it, you could just slam the bolt carrier all the way forward, and then you could leave it like that. If you want to go to the extreme and actually remove the buffer tube spring or whatever spring that is compressing to it, that's
Mhm.
fine too. But like, yeah, you don't really have to. You just slam the bolt carrier forward, and that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, moving on. Anything else for winter maintenance? That
Well,
you can
no,
think
you
of?
bring up you bring up a good point. Like, so, like, I brushed over the whole parts about the AEGs and whatnot, but when it comes to GBBs, like we had talked about in a previous episode and whatnot, he who shall not be named of Panther staff had a GBB that was brand new and got it rusted and whatnot, right?
Rust.
Oh,
So
Rust on
brand
the
new and
rust.
rust,
rust
That's
on
that's
the
right?
another one.
bayonet.
That's
and
another
that
one.
and that comes from playing in this kind of conditions.
Yeah.
So for people who are thinking about winter maintenance, so like I was saying about storage, and we were talking about like if you're not going to be playing, kind of goes the same way. If you want to be playing, you need to take care and maintain your platform. So if it's going to get wet, you want to make sure you clean it. You want to also make sure if it's a GBB, you oil it properly, right? You have all those anti-corrosion sort of whatnots. Use those good lubricants
Yeah.
and whatnot. Be generous. Just get it all up in there because it's only going to do it favors, other than the hot up. But in all honesty though, like Boy was saying, for long-term storage you want to take that out, but if you're not, right, at the same time you want to always lube your stuff up, right? And if you're a person who wants to use like silicone lube, because I know there's some weirdos like you out there who want to do that, remember it's wintertime, which means that things get uh more vis more viscous or less viscous.
More.
More
That means
viscous,
that
right?
means they're getting more friction out of it.
Yeah, so so for all you guys who like to use the heavyweight stuff in the cold, it's gonna be even heavier. So, probably gotta change it up and whatnot. So don't forget about that kind of stuff. For maintenance wise, that's pretty much it. But yeah, so for all you guys who have those backed up guns, all you guys who have those gun collections, now's the time to do that project photo building. So, go check that out,
Another
especially for guys.
project?
Yeah, exactly. So for all you guys who,
Or
don't
finish a
come out.
project. Which one do you
Fi-
want?
Finish, start, one or the other. It doesn't hurt.
Gotcha. Another project car. I mean, another
Yeah,
project
exactly.
gun.
So, but the next thing is, well, let's kind of go a little bit into like the storage. I know we talked about that in the previous episode and whatnot, but like again, we got to reiterate it because I get you guys have goldfish memory when it comes to this kind of stuff.
What?
I feel bad. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So don't forget, you need to properly store them. So that also includes taking your batteries out. That also includes, if you're, tech savvy and whatnot, decocking the spring and all that jazz. Make sure things are separate when you're putting it together because it is considered a real firearm. You don't want to surprise someone who I don't know the chances, but let's just not play with those odds at all, right?
You're
And you
you're
happen to,
you're in a storage area that's shared in your neighbor or something like that.
yeah, or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and you happen to have the magazine in it, if you have a brain, you would be, observant, but most people don't have a brain. So just yeah, don't play with that. That's really it. And you got, if you're gonna store it, make sure you lock it. To be honest, like that's really, I think, what it comes down to. Like if you're gonna store something long term, I believe it should be locked. Just because one, you don't want other people going through it, right? It's valuable. And two, if you're gonna not be looking at it for a really long time, again, you don't want people to be looking through it. So locking it is the most feasible thing, in my opinion, on that. So don't forget that. Other than that, battery maintenance. So going on to that, when it comes to winter maintenance, for all you guys who seemingly have this question every time when you come in and you wonder why your batteries are dead, it's wintertime. It's cold. Very pay to win when it comes to batteries, unfortunately. The more expensive and the better quality battery you have, the more
More
likely you're gonna
maintenance.
well, yes, but also you're gonna be able to play at extreme temperatures. So for all you guys who can't play, all day, I don't with one battery. I don't know why you do. You shouldn't, unless it's like one of those fancy batteries. But still, you know, um, don't forget, you might even only get through like half a game for some of you guys who use the same battery over 3 years or something like that. I know there's tons of you guys out there who use the same battery. It's gonna have bad results when it comes to the wintertime. And worst case scenario, you overdo it and you can cause a fire. I know some people are gonna look at me and be like, oh, that's blah 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 this and blah 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 that. Yes, there are multiple factors, but guess what? The wintertime exacerbates the problem. So you want to be careful on
So I want to add a note to batteries and cold temperature.
that. Hmm.
Um, so lipos have an operating temperature of 0 degrees to 35 degrees.
Hmm.
So if it's reaching any of those temperatures above and beyond, that's when they start to weaken the capacity or the discharge becomes like there's discharge loss or anything like that. Yeah, keep that in mind. 0 degrees to 35 degrees. So that's the perfect temperature for storage is usually room temperature, right? So that's in between, right? But
Hmm.
that's in the center. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're storing your lipo batteries because yeah, sometimes you just throw them in the garage or something and your garage is cold or your storage unit downstairs is cold. So good way to keep them in good operating capacity is your lipo chargers,
Hmm.
the fancier ones. If you buy an expensive lipo charger, it has there's a discharge setting and there's also a storage setting. So it'll store them at a certain capacity so that it doesn't expand or get hot, or if it gets too cold, then it doesn't drain it too much. So I think it stores it at about like 60 to 80% of its capacity so that it has that room to expand or do whatever, right? Or have a loss at that point. You don't want to store batteries that are overcharged or at 100% capacity. That's you're asking to get fire and stuff, especially when it gets moisture inside the chemistry in there. So yeah, 0 to 35, that's your operating temperature for those lipos.
Hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
So
no, no. Thank you for that, boy.
yeah.
Just so that if people get a better idea, because a lot of you guys think that things will work all the time. It hurts a little bit that you guys don't do just a little bit of. I know you guys spend a lot of money and you expect things to work, but things have an optimal kind of threshold, and
Yep.
unfortunately, we don't live in optimal conditions. We live in BC, not California,
We
where it's
always get the wet temperatures, so
yeah, so
yeah.
unfortunately, their test conditions are in optimal conditions,
Yeah.
right? That's why you want to look for the high quality stuff because usually they put them in rough conditions. So that's something to always think about. But yeah, have multiple batteries, make sure you can maintain them properly.
Lipo bag, big one. Like
Yeah,
store it in a lipo bag just in case
mm,
something ever was to happen. Like if they blow up for some reason, they get moisture in the
mm.
battery chemistry. At least it wasn't a lipo bag, and that like
I've seen some bad stuff. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, when it comes to that, guys, there's that. I know Boy mentioned about getting a high quality charger, so I'll mention it again as well. Don't forget to get a high quality charger because it'll save you money in the long run. For all you guys who've managed to keep your batteries for a long time with the crappy chargers, good on you. I don't know how you managed to do it. But yeah, get yourself better
If it
charger.
works, it works. I don't need to buy another one. Okay.
Yeah. Screw you, Zach.
We're not. Don't worry. We're laughing with you, not
He's
at
looking
you.
at me like so intently. He's like, what
Hold
are you
on,
doing, man?
hold on. Don't you guys share the same charger?
That's what I was getting at here. I'm glad you picked up what I was putting down. But
All right.
moving on, boy. Back to you.
Okay, so that is it for a lot of the attacking stuff. Yeah, emphasize on winter maintenance, storage, and battery maintenance because those are the biggest things for when you're storing your batteries away for that long, and as well as when you're operating out in temperatures like that. You take care of your batteries, guys. That's a big one. Take care of your batteries. Take care of your airsoft guns. It is wet outside, and like I was saying before, with the cold and wet weather gear, we live in a very temperate, like wet environment. We will get rust on our guns regardless, right? It's not fun dealing with rust either, especially for GBBR users. I can tell you that
No.
right now.
Oh,
Um,
and one thing, I was just looking at the comments from our live Discord for all you guys who are listening to this after the fact. We do have a live Discord when we do these kinds of things. So if you guys want to ask questions, don't forget to follow the link and get on in and join us when we're doing our live sessions here. But Tony was asking about hop-up buckets. That's an important thing, and it actually affects both GBB, AAGs. So for all you guys who don't know, if you're running one of those like 60, 80-degree buckings in the summertime, they're really, really hard. And by the time that it's the wintertime, they're even harder, and they're probably not going to work very effectively. So in those situations, for all you guys who want to have well, so that brings up a good point, actually. So for a lot of you all season guys, I know some of you guys have the all round one. So you guys are okay with the range. Like I know there are some guys who don't maximize their range for one particular thing because the temperatures are and the conditions are always changing. They kind of go for more of an all round sort of situation. So there are those types of guys and whatnot. So they're able to play without a problem all season. While there are the guys who maximize in the summertime and then they come and then they have to change everything in the wintertime because of their entire setup. So don't forget about that. So that's something that Tony did mention. So thank you for that.
so yeah, plastics do have a operating temperature as well, but not as dramatic as like something like we were talking about batteries and stuff because that's a chemistry. Like the plastic itself, yeah, it will get brittle, it will get hardened. Certain temperatures will
It
like
could
make
be
it
life or
soft.
death. Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
is it critical? Not really. But remember, we did discuss this with the GBBR segment, or the GBB segment about operating temperatures, right? That is a big one for a lot of
Yeah.
products and a lot of materials that we use for airsoft. Right? A lot of these stuff
100%.
are just being used in the summertime, right? And then you introduce winter, wet winter, and cold winter, right, or dry winter. It has its own elements on it, right? So certainly we learned something from gas blowbacks where gases have their operating temperatures, right, and they're very small margins of operating temperatures, right. That's why you have to use different kind of chemicals on them to make it so that they operate at a colder temperature or a hotter temperature, lower pressures and stuff, right. So yeah, it's the same thing for plastics, metals that we use. Yeah, everything has some sort of durability placed on it, and things just don't last forever, right. So you got to take care of that. That's why you got to jump in there with your maintenance if you're going to use it over winter time, right? Like you already came out of fall season, which is basically the wet season for us too. You got to watch out for those as well because now you're introducing like like heavy moisture into your equipment, not only your gear but your airsoft guns, right?
Yeah.
So that fudges around with the wiring. A lot of the like plastics will absorb and expand sometimes, so that's why you got to watch out for your hop up buckings. That's what Tony mentioned it, as well as for gas blowback users. Rust is a big one. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Just moisture in general for
Yeah.
that one too, because people don't realize that, right?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot to go over when it comes to just maintenance in general, not just winter in general, because this is, yeah, it is the wet season, so we mention it, but yeah, the operating temperatures at this time too make it difficult to use some equipment sometimes, especially your gas blowback users. I can tell you that it's just very hard to use it because the temperatures are sometimes at the 0 degrees, and their optimal operating temperatures are 15 degrees, like. Unless you have an what is it? MWS. Apparently, they could work well into 0 degree weather. So that's what I heard anyway, but I haven't tried it out myself. hopefully someone can confirm that. Yeah, moving on. I don't have anything else to add for winter maintenance at this point. What about you, Mac? I'm guessing none. Your tech is down there already, so.
He's going to deal with my problems. But the people who don't have tech readily available, thanks, tech. It's definitely one of those things where you kind of need to make a decision on whether you need to kind of adjust your play style, especially for these climates and stuff, right? Like, yeah, it's a little variety. It never hurt anybody. So, don't be scared to branch off, guys, if you want to try something else. Like it's wet. Maybe I don't want to do the AEG. Maybe I'm going to switch to that Springer sniper rifle that I bought and have had sitting there forever. And I'm going to play back because it's cold. And like these are different things.
Is this when everybody moves to sniper rifles in the winter time?
It's a winter, yeah. They don't want to run around.
That's true. Actually, one of those photos was me using a Springer. So I mean,
even though it's so much better to be running around.
Yeah, agreed. You're gonna have more warmth if you run around. More sweat too. That's me. No. Okay, so yeah, so other activities Mac was mentioning. There are other safe winter activities that you can do. That doesn't that you don't have to go down to the field for. So there is a lot of things that you could train for indoors. I say again, indoors, right? Just when you're going out in public, like your backyard. Now, I was mentioning this on a recent post that I saw, but if you're at your backyard, you're still in public view within your neighbor, right? So if your neighbor sees you and they don't know what you're doing and you're playing around with guns, what's the first thing they're going to react? They're going to be like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm going to call the cops. Right? It takes one story to basically ruin everybody's fun at Airsoft. Yeah. So let's keep that in mind, guys, when you're doing activities outside of the field, right? If you're doing it at home, do it indoors. So there are certain things that you can do, like dry fire training. I mean, that's a big one for a lot of real steel shooters as well. That's the reason why they use Airsoft, is because it's much safer than... it's much safer to load something like a plastic BB, practicing in your garage or your basement. Dry fire training, you could train, you could do quick draws. You could do all the cool what is it? You could do all the cool video YouTube influencer stuff that people do online. Up to you. You could train all that. I'm sure Matt can tell you all about it anyway, because he probably trains at home. Yeah, so train at home, train transitions. If you want, post up videos of it in our Discord too. Let's see how fast you guys can draw.
Yeah, don't post them on your socials. Post them here.
Yeah, don't post them on your socials, guys. Unless you really want to, then please make sure that you are indoors, not outside.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're at a designated place, go ahead and do those sorts of videos. But I'm just talking about the kids that want to hang out outside in their backyard with the complex in the background. Guys, I know that that's not somewhere where you should be doing that.
Yeah. Other fun activities: clearing the house or cleaning the house. Cleaning the house. But do it tactically.
Clean it first, then
do it tactically, right? Your kids are probably playing what is it? Ready or Not. Yeah, like a lot of kids are playing that right now. I don't know if there are, but I guess Call of Duty is a big one. But not running outside, running indoors, guys. Yeah, I feel like Tarkov. Yeah, corner leans. Practice your corner leans. Get that. Don't get that chicken wing out. Rainbow Six corner leans. I don't know.
I was thinking more of Tarkov.
Corner leans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get head ice though.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh, here's a big one, Mac. You'll love this one. How about working out?
Well, that's definitely a big one that I would try and suggest for people.
It's after New Year's and Christmas, so I need to work out too.
Yeah, well, dude, that's how I feel. Like, I really want to get back onto the grind and stuff, because I've been so busy with the holidays and the move, and just I haven't been able to just be in my happy place, and with the gyms closing, it makes me like.
So with the gyms closed, work out at home. I mean, you get the
work
benefit.
Work out at home, work out outside.
You get the benefit of working with your airsoft guns while you're working out at home. So you can do stuff like,
up like drills,
push-ups,
up drills,
down, up, down. Practice those, because I've seen a lot of you guys just like getting out of a prone position and then going to a run and you're already out of breath. It's like,
I would literally just practice up drills. The amount
Yeah.
of people that can't get their gun on target and then
oh,
claim that they
up
shot.
drills.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that they shot people. I'm like, no, you didn't, dude. No,
I was talking about from prone and then going all the way up to a stand.
no, those are
position.
fine too. But let's start at the basics. Just freaking get your gun on target.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, he's not wrong. People coming around the corner. A lot of negative engagements I find comes down to someone who thought they had their gun up, but really they don't, and then they do fire
Yeah.
a couple shots, but they're not aiming at the person.
I agree.
right?
I agree.
So,
Jeff, when Jeff, the JTF guy that trained, that was doing the training here, when I took his training, he said his number one priority when you're training someone is to always have your gun at that ready position, right? Not down like most people do in city, right?
no,
Like up, right? Up like that, right? You don't have to aim down the sight, right? But you always have to have it straight up. Like even if you have to drop it down just a couple of inches like that, right? So you can just bring it up right away.
I can't remember
Because-
what it's called. Yeah, but it's basically like being able to identify whatever's in front of you and then being able to actively deal with what's in
Yeah,
front
because
of you. Right? So-
you only got like a millisecond to bring it up and then fire. You could fire as you're moving up. That's what he told me. He's like, of all the times he was clearing like ships and stuff, he always has his weapon platform up, and he always had that thing fed with as much magazines. He never transitions to a pistol. So I
Oh,
never,
really? He kept his primary up.
Yeah, it's always primary. His pistol is always gonna be like, if he ever runs out of ammo or he needs to off himself. That's what he said to me. That's what he said to me.
Jesus
That's what he said
Christ.
to me.
Yeah, you don't want to fight. You don't want to fight a gunfight with a
fucking
freaking
Yeah.
pistol.
hardcore
because
guy.
he will fight until the end, right? Like until he runs out of ammo and then he'll reload that thing, right? So practice that. Always have your primary up, right? If your primary is really heavy, especially like if you're using like one of those Zenko AK platforms on it, like all the kids load up as much accessories on it. If you're gonna play with that, make sure you carry around, run with it, and as well as you're able to bring it up, right? Up on line on target, right? Because if you can't, then you're gonna need to work out more. Get those arms, get those Jello arms working out.
Hey, Mike added a really good point there.
In high stress CQB ready, but
Well,
also-
it's always high ready.
oh yeah, it's always high ready.
Always high port on a ship.
Yeah.
And in confined spaces, just because you don't want to
No,
shoot
that-
anybody in the
that's-
foot.
That's what he told me, and yeah, he had some wicked stories about clearing ships and stuff, and it took them like 6 hours just to clear one ship, and then they were missing one guy, so they had to re-clear it again, something like that. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, we're working out, especially at these like COVID times with the shutdowns at the gym. Yeah, work out at home. You get the benefit of working out with your airsoft gun, airsoft gear, even, right? So if you have all that gear and it's weighing you down, yeah, work out with it. Another one, if you don't really want to work out, work on your communication skills. Play some cooperative team games. Right, Tak? Right, Tarkov?
Mhm.
Right, you're
Yep.
supposed to be watching that corner, but it died anyway because the guy snuck through and you didn't watch that corner.
I kind of feel bad.
Shots fired.
I'm not gonna lie. Like my gun, so what happened was my gun malfunctioned, and instead of staying instead of staying on point, because I had a secondary and I could have swapped to my sec. And actually, this is a bad habit that I get into, and this is actually an important thing that Matt was talking about, was switching and transit and practicing your transitioning.
Practicing, yeah.
Because I have so many times, and I know it's just a video game, but even that, just like someone
Practicing
told,
the movement, right?
what was Richard calling it? Your OODA loop, right?
Yeah.
Right, like the way your thought process and the way you kind of go through
Yeah, if
thinking.
something
and stuff like
breaks
that.
it, if something breaks it, you're basically fucked.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for in that situation, because you're not practicing it, it's like I make the mistake a lot of the time of I bring a primary with the intention of switching to it, but in a panic situation, I don't, and for some reason I turn like a bitch and I die.
Yeah.
I turn like a
So I'm being honest there.
Yeah,
So
no, but
it-
that's what brings out in like games like that is it brings out a review of what happened afterwards, and you could repeat it
Yeah.
over and over again. That's the key. But the thing that you maintain with is your communication skills with your other teammates and stuff.
yeah.
Like especially if you're playing squad or like Tarkov or like even like Warzone and stuff, right?
Yeah.
because you're communicating with your teammate. You're doing call outs and stuff, right? You
Well,
could do the same thing in a field, like in an airsoft field.
exactly. Up to that point, in my opinion, that was one of the best raids that I had that wipe because of our communication. Like wiping that SVD dude right outside of the fact, like that guy had no chance. And then the guy, when we got into dorms, okay, like before we ended up getting clapped because of the guys who came after it, when we both pincered in, and then I noticed that one door
Yeah.
open, and I'm like, that's a quest door, and I know for a fact someone had beat us there and gotten in there. But you guys met up with me and I held that hallway, and then finally I did
Yeah,
see
you
the
had
guy
three.
try and
We had
peek.
3 guns pointed at it, and then that's when the
Oh,
grenade came out, right? Yeah.
that was beautiful, and that guy had no idea what kind of hornet's nest that he just rocked by sticking himself out. He should have just stayed there, hid behind the closed door, and just moved on with life. But he
Yeah.
didn't do that. So like in that situation though, after you died, when you talk about communication, yeah, I should have communicated that my gun was down. And because I didn't communicate that to you, that ended up being the fault in that sort of
Yeah,
whole
yeah. So I
situation.
didn't expect someone to walk into the hallway, which was like the entry point was like at your area. I'm sitting there going, "What the heck? What? Where did he come from?" Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it because I was trying to deal with the GS wound and then as well as like healing up and stuff. But yeah, no, these things happen. That's fine. But that's you work out your communication right with your teammates, and that's always fun to do because you're not exerting yourself as much. You're more using this a lot more
Mhm.
because you're identifying targets. You're making sure your teammates are okay. You're making sure your situational awareness is there. So a lot of things you could just develop in here while you're in winter mode, basically. I mean, we're all gamers here, so we understand that it's what got us into airsoft, right? But now you're using video games as an addition to what you're training for in airsoft anyway. So that's a big one to do. I mean, there's a lot more time to play in wintertime. Like myself, like love playing Tarkov. Play it in wintertime, no problem. Come up to spring or summertime when there's more activities outside and there's more sun outside in the evening time. Yeah, I'd be outside more. You have kids. Yeah. Buy time. So yeah, buy
By
time.
time.
Sorry, you don't have time to
Yeah.
game. I'm sure these adults do, but yeah, it just becomes very difficult, especially when I have responsibilities outside of work and stuff. But yeah, so that is it that you could do outside of winter activities. That's safe and you could develop skills over time. What about you guys? Do you have any other sort of things that you do for airsoft related that you could add to this list?
Uh, you know what? Game plan. So like if you are a type of person who sort of likes to go into something, ahead of time and stuff like that, if you like knowing a map ahead of time, wanting to plan, sort of anything you don't like planning on the fly. I know there's some people like that and want to move more sort of like planned and methodically. There's nothing wrong with that. That it's each to their own play style. Doing mock simulations, like sort of like what they're getting into about doing dry fire training and clearing the house and stuff like that. um you can go through your actions and your motions and stuff like that, and that's something that can be done during your off days and whatnot. So
Mm.
Yeah, for one thing I learned from dry fire training is don't try and repeat the same thing over and over again. It becomes muscle memory, yes, but you also gotta include things like, oh shoot, the mag is backwards or something like that. What do I do? I gotta troubleshoot it, right?
mhm.
Or things like, oh no, there's another BB stuck on the chamber or something, especially for gas blowbacks. That happens a lot. Like you gotta clear it properly, look at it, clear it properly and stuff, and then do it again, right? If you have the space to do it, yeah, you could fire. You don't have to dry fire. You could just fire, in your like garage or something, and train like that, and get BBs feeding through it and stuff like that. But yeah, I find that if you do the same thing over and over again, it becomes repetitive and the same. If something comes along the way where you didn't train for it and be like, oh no, like I didn't, I don't know what to do with this, then you're gonna have to troubleshoot it. So it's better to do a lot more troubleshooting than a lot more of the same repetitive thing for muscle memory.
Mhm.
Because yeah, muscle memory is great. Like, you could do things right on the fly and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
But as far as like troubleshooting, you got to train that more because you wanna like if a problem arises, right? You got to be ready for taking care or unjamming things or like I had one video in my gas blowback when I was doing YouTube back then. Is I had one where I had triple BB feed.
Yeah.
So I had one jam up. I flipped, like, racked it, looked at it, flipped it to the side. BB fell out, but as I racked it in, the BB fell in again, and then it jammed up the entire system where it jammed up the trigger unit because it went all the way
Oh,
back.
yeah,
It
yeah.
it released it from the chamber, went all the way back to the trigger, and then parked
Went into the
itself
hammer.
underneath. And then as the bolt went forward, it
Hmm.
stuck underneath. So now I have to double troubleshoot it somewhere where I have to actually open the entire system, right? Crack open the entire M4. There it was in
Shit.
the trigger system. Have to rack the hammer back and then let it fall out, and then maintain the entire system. And that like I actually practiced that a lot, where I had to manually open it and stuff, look at it,
Hmm.
troubleshoot it, and then put it back in, and then yeah, that entire process only took me like 20 to 15 seconds to fix. But right, if you weren't ready for it, you might take longer, right? Because you have to fiddle around with it, and I was under
Yeah.
fire too, right? So yeah, train, troubleshoot, repeat, troubleshoot some more, do like, make sure it's not the same thing. Make sure you try to do it like from a prone position, from a crouch, from like a
Yeah.
standing, or when you're out of breath and stuff. So it's like, what is it? What's his name? Trains all the time. Everyone's favorite video shooter on
Liku?
YouTube. Yeah, not Liku.
That guy trains so much.
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about T-Rex?
yeah, T-Rex arms. Yeah, he
Oh.
does he does all, he does all kinds of crazy things, right? But
Yeah, but we're airsofters, so
yeah,
Liku,
yeah, Liku's our best bet. Anyways, yeah, like that's my best recommendation for dry fire training is, yeah, repetition, yes, troubleshooting, even more practice,
Mm.
yes. Um, yeah, house cleaning, corner leaning. Kind of hard to train that if no one's actually trained you on how to do it, but you can just watch a bunch of videos like who are those guys? UF Pro.
No,
Yeah,
those guys, Project Echo, yeah.
yeah, Project Gecko. They teach you some pretty good stuff. Again, like, if you're doing it alone, then you're on your own. But it's better if you're out there with, like, that's why the cooperative gameplay is like, to increase your communication skill is a must, especially for video games, because it teaches you a lot about situational awareness, what your teams are doing, how you guys communicate together as a team, and so forth. So you're pushing forward, that'll basically add on to airsoft stuff. And yeah, like, communication is key regardless. um yeah, uh that's pretty much it. Sorry, I took over that one, didn't I? What about you, Mac? Is there anything you want to add to that, like
Mm,
other fun activities to do?
to make sure that you're like better prepped for airsoft, just in case, like, because I get it, the winter months are terrible.
So work out,
Hmm.
gotcha.
Yeah, well, I mean, working out is one thing, but honestly, training your body is sorry. So training your body is one thing, but training your mind is another. So you guys have already mentioned about teamwork and cooperative skills that you can utilize in video games and such like that, but also just kind of like reading up on history and learning about tactics and formations and stuff like that. That can actually be pretty beneficial, you know. I know it sounds boring or dumb, and I don't know if everyone's gonna like it and stuff like that. But for me, I actually look up a lot of like ancient battles and everything like that and understand how, they thought at that time or why they did something, and, like when to implement the flank. Like, like these are things that, if you look at the broader pictures of things, you're kind of able to piece together in everyday situations and stuff. So that's just my thought process on it, is if you know your history, you don't repeat it.
And I agree with that statement too, because of the fact that when we do our segments, like for deep dives into like platforms and stuff, you know how we go into the deep dive of history first,
Yep.
of how we got here,
Mhm.
right? Because it's always good to learn the history context of things before we start diving into what we're talking about. Because a little bit of backstory always helps,
Yeah,
what
100%.
we're doing, right? That's why like, a lot of the mill sims, I do tend to like read up on the backstory of what happened and stuff, because it gives me a greater emphasis of, especially if I'm like leading a squad or something like that, it gives me a greater emphasis of what we're actually either fighting for, or who we're fighting, and what the situation is currently, what the situational awareness is, what the mindset is of, like, let's say, the civilians or something like that. right? It gives me a better idea of what's happening, right? If I just go in there and it's like, oh, it's just a regular skirmish, then I'll treat it like a regular skirmish, right?
Exactly.
Even if there's game mechanics involved, right? A little bit of backstory will help. It also helps for just the LARPing purpose of it as well, because it'd be like, oh, it's set in the Middle East, oh, it's set in like South Africa or something, or an African country or something. And then I come up with my best acting job at that point. Either way,
Have some backstory. It's like I am Boris. Hello.
but you're in Africa. I am a mercenary.
I go where the vodka takes me.
Either way, yeah, no, that's a good one to add. Actually, just the history portion of it.
Well, just educating yourself, man, on so many different topics and stuff. Like there are so many things that I've taught myself on YouTube or just like watched documentaries on and kind of like read it or read articles or I've read books on.
Wikipedia,
Yeah, exactly. Like this, like it's all out there, guys, and it's all up to what you want to
if you have
put
the
into
time
it.
for it, right? Like,
Hey,
that's if you have the time.
Don't talk to me about time, man. I'm always doing stuff.
Okay,
It's called priorities.
gotcha. Good. All right. Well, I think that is it for this segment of Winter is Here. There
Pretty
is definitely a lot of things to do in winter. Whether you want to play airsoft, we're here for you. We will facilitate winter airsoft games for you. Our staff will be able to be out there. You can play safely, no problem. Come out and play airsoft. It's pretty safe. There's no problem. We'll make sure you're safe. If you're not the type that likes to play in winter, hey, we've just provided you with a bunch of things that you can do, bunch of other safe activities to do as well. Not just playing airsoft. You could, again, with the history portion that you're talking about, Mac, and as well as the maintenance that you're talking about, Tac, and as well as communication and as well as working out. Hey, it's all there for you. Keep in mind, if you're gonna play in wintertime, right? Mac did spill out a whole bunch of advice for you on what to wear. Make sure you take those advice to heart, because we don't like it if you come in there and you are all of a sudden very cold or not able to play. Then you're just basically wasting you're wasting your admission for just trying to stay warm. So all right, so that is it for episode 71. Pac, you could do the closing because you're the best at it.
I feel like this is deja vu, but hey guys, this has been the Panther Airsoft Folding Table Talk with your boy Tac, Mac, and Poi. We hope you guys have a great time. We'll see you guys on the weekend. This has been episode 71.
All right, see ya.
Bye bye.